भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 14, Pregnancy of Diti in the Evening, text number 43 onwards. Na brahma dand dagdasya na bhut bhayadasya cha narkash grinanti yam yam yonimaso gataha. So Diti is further saying, a person who's condemned by a Brahman, because last verse she said, "Oh, I'm glad that my sons will be killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not by the wrath of a Brahman." So, what happens if a person is killed by a Brahman or condemned by a Brahman? A person who's condemned by a Brahman or is always fearful to other living entities is not favored either by those who are already in hell or by those in the species in which he is born. Wow. Or is a person who is condemned by a Brahman or is always fearful to other living entities. So we think if we have a good position in the society, lots of power, and I can scare others and live happily, that will never gonna happen. A practical example of a condemned species of life is a dog. Dogs are so condemned that they never show any sympathy to their contemporaries. Well, this is Prabhupada's purport, so can't comment on that because people have dogs as pets these days, and so many dogs are there as pets, and they love their dogs so much so that, like I went to a devotee's house here in US, and they have a puppy. So I just said, "What's the name of this dog?" And they said, "Don't call him dog. He's not dog. He's puppy. He's part of our family." They were offended when I called him a dog. Not for me, it was a dog. Okay, I said puppy is fine. But Prabhupada is saying this is they're so condemned that they never show any sympathy to their contemporaries. And so a person who is condemned by a Brahman or is always fearful to other living entities is not favored either by those who are already in hell. So even people in living in hell, they don't they don't look at that person favorably. Text 45, 40, 44, 45. कश्यपवाच कृतशोकानुतापेन सद्य प्रत्यवमर्शनात् भगवती उरु मानाच्च भवे मय्यपि चादरात् पुत्रस्यैव च पुत्राणां भवितैकः सतां मतः घास्यन्ति यद् यशः शुद्धं भगवद्यशसा समम्. The learned Kashyap said, because of your lamentation, penitence, and proper deliberation, and also because of your unflinching faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and your adoration for Lord Shiva and me, one of the sons, Prahlad, of your son Hiranyakashipu, will be an approved devotee of the Lord, and his fame will be broadcast equally with that of the personality of Godhead. So this is the advantage of pleasing a Brahman, that they can give benediction and that benediction can last. I mean, the amazing benedictions one can get, and it will have, one can have lots of fame or money or anything. if one can please a Brahmin. Text 46. Yogarhimev durvarnam bhavishyanti santvaha nirvairadebhiratmanam yachchilam anuvartitum. In order to follow in his footsteps, saintly persons will try to emulate his character by practicing freedom from animosity, just as the purifying processes rectify gold of inferior quality. Yoga practice, the process of purifying one's existential identity, is based mainly on self control. Without self control, one cannot practice freedom from animosity. In the conditional state, every living being is envious of another living being. But in the liberated stage, there is an absence of animosity. So this is the difference between conditioned and liberated state. Liberated stage, everybody is in love with Krishna and Krishna's creation. So they are in love with each and everybody else. Everybody else. There's a mood of cooperation and service and caring and compassion. No animosity. In the material world, everybody is jealous of everybody else, fearful of everybody else, and there is sense of enviousness, competitiveness. There is no real love here. But the spiritual world is completely opposite. So one has to qualify for that world while living in this world. That is our test. And this is what yoga practice does. The process of purifying one's existential identity is based mainly on self-control. Even if because of my sanskar or because of my upbringing, because of my whatever values I have, my first reaction to somebody would be of animosity, would be of revenge, would be of any kind of those negative feelings. Human form of life, being in devotional circle, a devotional path, we have to curb those feelings. Before, I mean, it will happen much later that those feelings never show up, those emotions never show up. But in the beginning, we have to curb them. Even if the emotions are there, still we have to control. That is self-control. Prahlad Maharaj was tortured by his father in so many ways. Yet, after the death of his father, he prayed for his father's liberation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He did not ask any benediction that he might have asked, but he prayed that his atheistic father might be liberated. He never cursed any of the persons who engaged in torturing him at the instigation of his father. Rather, he just forgave them. That is saintly character. And that's why devotees like Prahlad Maharaj are very, very dear to the Lord. Text 47. Yat prasadad idam vishvam prasidati yadatmakam saswadrig bhagwan yasya toshyante ananya drishya. Everyone will be pleased with him because the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller of the universe, is always satisfied with the devotee who does not wish for anything beyond him. Beyond means beyond God. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated everywhere as a super soul, and he can dictate to anyone and everyone as he likes. The would-be grandson of Diti, who was predicted to be a great devotee, would be liked by everyone, even by the enemies of his father, because he would have no other vision besides the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure devotee of the Lord sees the presence of his worshipable Lord everywhere. The Lord reciprocates in such a way that all living entities in whom the Lord is dwelling as a super soul also like a pure devotee because the Lord is present in their hearts and can dictate to them to be friendly to his devotee. There are many instances in history wherein even the most ferocious animal became friendly to a pure devotee of the Lord. See, because the Lord is sitting as super soul in the heart of everybody. So he can change the reaction of those otherwise animals or envious people, but he can change the reaction towards the pure devotee. Here, Prabhupada is having many instances in history wherein even the most ferocious animal became friendly to a pure devotee of the Lord. There is a story, there's a devotee named Murari Chaitanya in Mahaprabhu's Leela. And he was so much, and he was an associate of Nityanand Prabhu actually. And he was such a devotee of such a caliber. And he was completely madly in love with Nityanand Prabhu, devotion of Nityanand Prabhu. That in his village, when he would go out, if there was any ferocious animal like tiger or a lion or a fox, he would see that tiger, and Murari Chaitanya would be in so much of love, he would not even know what he's doing, and he would go near the tiger and he would slap that tiger and tell him to chant Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name, Gaura's name, or Krishna's name. He would slap the tiger, and tiger would be all surprised. What is this guy? Who's this guy? What is he doing? And tiger would run away from there, scared of Murari Chaitanya. Murari Chaitanya wasn't a big guy, a small guy, but that was his potency. So, because the super soul is sitting in the heart of even these ferocious animals. In fact, with Prahlad Maharaj, when we come to seventh canto and read his pastimes, Hiranyakashipu tried to get him killed by sending elephants, huge elephants. The elephants were of Satyuga, so they must be really, really huge. By sending those huge elephants to trample Prahlad Maharaj under their feet. And they would come running, charging towards Prahlad Maharaj, and Prahlad Maharaj would just sit there and chant the holy name of the Lord. And the elephants would not trample on him. They'll just come, sit around, or roam around and go back. So this was the potency of Prahlad Maharaj, or potency of his bhakti. Actually, it's very funny. We are reading Swayambhuva Manu and his progeny, basically. And the whole Bhagavatam, when we go around, it will basically revolve around these people, this family only. Family or the further people of the family. That's it. This is all Bhagavatam. But the way it is written and way it is the devotion is shown and the lessons that we learn, they're amazing. Text 48. स वै महाभागवतो महात्मा महानुभावो महतां महिष्ठा प्रवृद्ध भक्त्या हि अनुभाविताशय निवेश वैकुंठम imam vihasyati. That topmost devotee of the Lord will have expanded intelligence and expanded influence and will be the greatest of the great souls. Due to mature devotional service, he will certainly be situated in transcendental ecstasy and will enter the spiritual sky after quitting this material world. There are three stages of transcendental development and devotional service which are technically called Sthai Bhav, Anubhav, and Mahabhav. Continual perfect love of Godhead is called Sthai Bhav. And when it is performed in a particular type of transcendental relationship, it is called Anubhav. But the stage of Mahabhav is visible amongst the personal pleasure potential energies of the Lord. It is understood that the grandson of Diti, named Prahlad Maharaj, would constantly meditate on the Lord and reiterate his activities. Because he would constantly remain in meditation, he would easily transfer himself to the spiritual world after quitting his material body. Such meditation is still more conveniently performed by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord. This is especially recommended in this age of Kali. So, continual perfect love of Godhead is called Sthai Bhav, and when it is performed in a particular type of transcendental relationship, it's called Anubhav and the Mahabhav. Of course, these technical terms will be explained more clearly in Nectar of Devotion whenever we get to study that scripture. But Prahlad Maharaj would constantly meditate on the Lord. And that's why he got transferred to the spiritual world once he left the material body. Text 49. अलम्पटाशील धरो गुणा करो हृष्टा परध्रया व्यथितो दुखितेषु अभूत शत्रु जगतः शोक हर्ता नेदाधिकम तापम ivodurajaha. He will be virtuously qualified reservoir of all good qualities. He will be jolly and happy in others' happiness, distressed in others' distress, and will have no enemies. He will be a destroyer of the lamentation of all the universes, like the pleasant moon after the summer sun. Prahlad Maharaj, the exemplary devotee of the Lord, had all the good qualities humanly possible. Although he was the emperor of this world, he was not profligate. Beginning from his childhood, he was a reservoir of all good qualities. Without enumerating those qualities, it is said that summarily he was endowed with all good qualities. That is a sign of a pure devotee. The most important characteristic of a pure devotee is that he is not a lampat or licentious, and another quality is that he is always eager to mitigate the miseries of suffering humanity. That he is always eager to mitigate the miseries of suffering humanity. The most obnoxious misery of a living entity is his forgetfulness of Krishna. A pure devotee therefore always tries to evoke everyone's Krishna consciousness. That is the panacea for all miseries. So this is the biggest misery. Of course, people don't know what is the biggest misery, but what is the biggest suffering in the material world? That they have forgotten Krishna. They have forgotten the relationship with Krishna. Why we think CAA or CAB or NRC or not following NRC or not following CAB will be the biggest misery. And if everybody follows this, then miseries will be gone. No. Miseries will still be there. In America, there is no such thing. Of course, they have their own laws, but that doesn't mean this place is without any miseries. That doesn't mean there are no problems here. The problems are everywhere. Problems of material world, adhibhautik, adhyatmik, adhidhavik klesh are everywhere, even in the heavenly planets. And that is because we have forgotten our spiritual identity. That's all. Text 50. Antarbahishchamalam abjanetram Swapurushe chano grihit rupam Pautrastav Shri Lalana Lalalam Drishtah Surat Kundal Manditananam. Your grandson will be able to see inside and outside the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose wife is a beautiful goddess of fortune. The Lord can assume the form desired by the devotee, and his face is always beautifully decorated with earrings. So, wonderful line. The Lord can assume the form desired by the devotee. Painting behind me, it's a form of Krishna. But there are other paintings. I put different paintings as background. Everyone is a form of Krishna. So the painter or the artist, he thinks of Krishna in a certain way, and of course, Krishna sitting as Paramatma in his heart. He also gives him inspiration to draw in a certain way. But the Lord takes the form, can assume the form desired by the devotee. So he can have unlimited forms. It is predicted herewith that the grandson of Diti, Prahlad Maharaj, would not only see the personality of Godhead within himself by meditation, but would also be able to see him personally with his eyes. This direct vision is possible only for the one who is highly elevated in Krishna consciousness. For the Lord is not possible to see with material eyes. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has multifarious eternal forms such as Krishna, Baladev, Sankarshan, Anirudh, Pradyumna, Vasudev, Narayan, Ram, Narasimha, Vara, and Vaman. And the devotee of the Lord knows all those Vishnu forms. A pure devotee becomes attached to one of the eternal forms of the Lord, and the Lord is pleased to appear before him in the form desired. A devotee does not imagine something whimsical about the form of the Lord, nor does he ever think that the Lord is impersonal and can assume a form desired by the non-devotee. The non-devotee has no idea of the form of the Lord, and thus he cannot think of any one of the above mentioned forms. But whenever a devotee sees the Lord, he sees him in a most beautifully decorated form, accompanied by his constant companion, the goddess of fortune, who's eternally beautiful. So that's that special relationship between the devotee and the Lord. Just like when this Lord Nrsimhadev pastime happens, and after he kills Hiranyakashipu, and he was still so angry. How come this atheist or demon Hiranyakashipu troubled his devotee, Prahlad Maharaj? He was very angry. And all the demigods approached him. He wasn't getting pacified. Lakshmi ji approached him, but Lakshmi ji said, even I haven't seen this form of yours. That form was so special. It was Ugra Narasimha. But when Prahlad Maharaj approached him, Ugra Narasimha became very pacified. Lovingly, very caringly, he put his hand on the head of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was a little boy, 7 years old boy. And he was very lovingly taken care of by Nrsimhadev. Special relationship between Prahlad Maharaj and Nrsimhadev. Text 51. Maitreya Vacha Shutva Bhagavatam Patram Amodat Diti Brisham Putriyoshcha Vadham Krishnad Vidit Vasin Mahatmana. The sage Maitreya said, hearing that her grandson would be a great devotee, and that her sons would be killed by Krishna, Diti was highly pleased in mind. Diti was very aggrieved to learn that because of her untimely pregnancy, her sons would be demons and would fight with the Lord. But when she heard that her grandson would be a great devotee and that her two sons would be killed by the Lord, she was very satisfied. As the wife of a great sage and the daughter of a great Prajapati, Daksha, she knew that being killed by the personality of Godhead is a great fortune. Since the Lord is absolute, his acts of violence and non-violence are both on the absolute platform. There is no difference in such acts of the Lord. Mundane violence and non-violence have nothing to do with the Lord's acts. A demon killed by him attains the same result as one who attains liberation after many, many births of penance and austerity. The word Bhrisham is significant here because it indicates that Diti was pleased beyond her expectations. So she was pleased that, okay, two sons, although they will be demons, but they will be killed by Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the grandson will be great devotee. And here Prabhupada says, and this we have studied earlier also, a demon killed by him attains the same result as one who attains liberation after many, many births of penance and austerity. Means they get Sayujya Mukti. They don't get uh, the Mukti of being a servant or being an associate of the Lord in the spiritual world. And the same Mukti that or the Gyanis get. So, not the devotees. Uh, devotees' situation is much, much better than just merging in Brahm Jyoti. So there ends the 14th chapter. So tomorrow we'll start the 15th chapter. See if anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
This chapter was really wonderful. A lot of points were completely very difficult to understand, but then when you read again and again and explained, it became very clear. Especially this 43rd verse about the person who is fearful to other living entities. So how he is
Yeah,
condemned by the species
yeah,
in which he is born. This point was not getting clear to me yesterday when I was reading it again and again. But today, when you stressed again two, three times, then I understood. My God, it is such a deep point Prabhupada has made, and I didn't read that purport, one line purport, so that
oh,
made it more clear. And the dogs are really condemned; they cannot show mercy to contemporaries, but they are grateful to the master.
that's right. Yeah, they're grateful to the masters, but not to the contemporaries.
So, why they are called condemned? Because condemned means condemned by everybody, but in this case, masters are taking care of them like the children only.
Condemned by the nature, you can say,
Okay.
because they are good pets, but it's a low life, lower species.
Yeah, but that way, all the animals are condemned because they are low lives and they don't have any discrimination. They cannot do bhakti. All these things are reasons why we say animals are condemned. But why especially dog is being given as an example by
I
Prabhupada?
don't know why Prabhupada gave example of dogs only.
I
I
used
don't
to
know.
think dogs are the best among the animals because they are so friendly to humans and they are taken care by their masters almost greater than their own children.
But there is a statement, I believe in Nectar of Devotion. Um, if when we make thali, bhoga thali for the Lord,
Right.
so we have to cover it
Ah,
with the
yes,
cloth.
yes, yes. Yeah,
before
that
we
you
take
told
to the
earlier.
altar.
Right,
So why the it is specifically said that it should not be seen by any people or the dogs. It
right,
doesn't
right,
say cats or anything else. It says dogs should not look at it.
right. Because they smell it and they cannot control their senses. Yeah, even this
But
is
it
true
doesn't
for
talk about
human
other
beings.
animal. It doesn't talk about other animals.
Okay,
Why only
yeah,
dogs?
okay. They can
I
actually
don't know.
smell it and eat it, no?
I don't know, but it just says dogs.
I think you told the reason because dogs do smell, and smelling is as good as half eating the prasadam, like the boga. So once it is
True,
honor, one
true, but other animals might also be smelling. I don't know.
not as not as strongly as
As
dogs.
dogs do.
Actually, they can really eat by
Could
smelling.
be,
You said
could
that
be.
human beings also we can smell. So when we smell, it is like we have lost control and we have actually honored the boga, and we cannot
Could
offer it
be.
to Krishna. So that's why they say the Brahmanas only can offer the food because they have a lot of self control. Is this? I think this is one of the classes you gave this explanation in the
True.
past.
And that's why when people see, because of caste system, everything has gone topsy turvy. Or otherwise, yes, like you said, Brahmins only could offer, could perform the puja because they have more sense control. It doesn't matter which family you're born
Absolutely, absolutely.
in.
Yeah, even
But the people,
after this,
yeah,
yeah. Sorry, Prabhu.
people don't understand, and then they say, "Oh, it is discriminatory." It's not
Yeah,
discriminatory. It's a qualification we are talking, not the birth.
yeah, they get angry immediately because somebody was given higher privileges. Why we are not given? But we don't understand. We don't have self control at all. Even at
That's
home, when sometimes my wife is cooking a nice prasad, a nice boga, and telling me to offer, when I'm taking the plate, I just sometimes smell it. And then I realized because after this explanation you gave, I said, I have lost control. So I just leave the boga there and come out of the room and then take some water and then forget that I remember that I should not smell it also. And how about seeing the boga, Prabhu? When we see the boga and we see it is so nice, is that also kind of
um
honoring?
yeah. So that's why we have to cover it with a cloth
Oh,
when we take it
okay,
to
but
the room.
when we are putting it on the plate and trying to arrange everything, then also we are seeing. So if we see, oh,
So
this prasadam
yeah,
is
but that time we are seeing to make sure that plate is arranged properly. But yes,
okay,
we can get attracted. We can. It can happen. So we have to be careful. That's all in our services.
right? Yeah, so many times I have every time almost been very careless. So this is very helpful actually. This kind of explanation, small, but it makes us think a lot. And
Yeah.
sorry, Prabhu, are you okay? If you're not okay, then we'll stop. Otherwise, I have some
No, no,
questions I
you
will
can
ask.
ask questions. Actually, continuous speaking was getting little problem.
Yeah, okay. In the purport to text 47 today, we read that the Lord reciprocates in such a way that all living entities in whom the Lord is dwelling as the super soul also likes a pure devotee because the Lord is present in their hearts and can dictate to them to be friendly to his devotee. Now, this is about when we saw about animosity. Due to animosities, the living beings of this world, conditioned living beings, they are not friendly to each other. But because the pure devotee is carrying Krishna in his heart all the time, inside out, and because Krishna is also present in the form of super soul in the hearts of other living entities who are conditioned, he instructs these conditioned living entities in their hearts to be friendly to this pure devotee of the Lord. Now we see
Yeah.
that there are many pure devotees who are so friendly to all the living entities. Now some people are jealous of them also and speak bad things about them behind their back. Now, sometimes I have seen that even such envious people praise the pure devotee, but not that they are friendly to the pure devotee. If they were friendly, they will never speak bad things behind their back. So this is also happening. So does it
Oh
mean
yeah.
that what does this mean?
See, oh, what to speak of that? I mean, look at Jesus Christ. He was crucified by
Yeah,
those envious people. Haridas Thakur was beaten up in 22 marketplaces. Prahlad Maharaj himself, how much his father tried to kill him. But
yeah.
that's also a way of the Lord to show that I'll always protect my devotees, no matter what.
Uh,
I'm there to
so
protect them.
the Lord instructs these animal people of animosity also to be friendly to Him. At the same time, Lord uses them to torture these devotees so that He can bring out the best of the devotees. Is
Yeah,
that
so everything is controlled by the Lord in the life of a pure devotee.
devotee? Okay,
So
okay.
everything is
I
controlled,
was
whether
my
one way
question.
or the other, everything is controlled.
Yeah, what I understood is I thought the Lord is always going to instruct the other living entities to be friendly with this pure devotee. If that is the case, why sometimes we see that the devotees are also being tortured? So that answer of yours answers my question now. So okay, thank you very much,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
he can orchestrate in any way he likes.
Actually, I was trying to follow you today very closely. The way, the speed at which you're reading these verses. These verses have very wonderful points, which is very difficult to understand if you're not paying attention. So I was reading all these purports which you are reading, and I was just following you at the same pace. It's very difficult. Actually, you're going very fast. This is probably the first round of Bhagavatam. I think we have to read the Bhagavatam another time. Maybe at this speed next time will be okay. But this time I'm just thinking if we are not reading at home after the class, then we are completely lost. Hardly 5-10% goes inside, and that also is forgotten after 1 or 2 days. So thank you very much, Prabhu, for spending this
um,
wonderful time early in the morning
I'm
for us.
trying. I'm trying. That's all I can say. Any other question or comment?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
One
Krishna.
question came in my mind while discussing things with one of my friend.
Hmm.
Like when in one of the class you said that the caste system, what is present in today's scenario, is not at all valid, or it is not at all correct way. It has all got topsy-turvy, and earlier people were trained as per their qualities, and it was not like that the brahmana son will be only a brahmana.
Hmm.
So people they have an argument like okay, if that is the case, then why Karna was not like given was not allowed to study from Dronacharya and about Eklavya and all. So as per them, that it was already there and it was already followed that way. It is nothing like that with based on the quality. um, this caste system has was it was not like that. It was always like a brahmana will be a brahmana. So I just want some clarification on that.
um, See, up to Dwapar Yuga, it was general. I mean, the rules was a Brahman son will become a Brahman. Rule. That was the rule. Exceptions are always there. Why? Because the potency of the father was so much that if the king is there, his son will be a Kshatriya. Whether king or not, that's a different story. But his son will be a Kshatriya. Now, in case of Karna and Eklavya, So apparently they were Kshatriyas, but they were somehow Karna appeared as a son of, although from Kunti Maharani he appeared, but he was raised by a charioteer, and Eklavya was also not a Kshatriya family. So Dronacharya did not admit them because first of all he was teacher of this princess. It was not his Gurukul. He was appointed teacher to teach the prince, the Kurus and the Pandavas. So he could not admit anybody else. His son got admission because that was his son. Where would he go? So that was one of the reasons Dronacharya could not accept them as students. and and also, although Karna got education from Lord Parshuram, and he became basically he became a god brother of Dronacharya. Dronacharya, Bhishma, and Karna, they all learned from Parshuramji. That's a different story. But Eklavya, on the other hand, although he learned the art of archery, but he was still not considered a Kshatriya because of other qualities he did not have. Not just because he was not a son of a king, but the qualities of Kshatriya he didn't have. He lacked those. And that's why Dronacharya asked his thumb, not because he didn't want a competitor of Arjuna. Arjuna was a great archer and he's a great devotee. So there's no comparison to Arjuna. But Eklavya lacked those qualities. And that's why Dronacharya said this is not right. He has a technical knowledge, but he doesn't have the qualities. So Mahabharata is very vast and very deep actually. One has to study it properly.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Actually, this is what I tried to explain them about Karna, and about Eklavya. I didn't had that much knowledge, so I didn't explain anything. But actually, another question relating to this is that I always try to insist my most of the friends. I don't insist them, but when I come when we have any meeting or gathering, so not only my friends but anyone, then they always ask me about my status and all everything. So I always try to tell them that we should all learn scriptures. When we are looking for a motivational speaker, why can't we study the source of all the motivation, that is Bhagavad Gita? And then they always I just try to tell them that it is a positive side, and we should at least once read that book. So even if you are not spiritual, but please try to read that and then tell me that where these scriptures tell us about divide and rule and hatred. So it always teaches us to be humble and to be tolerant. So is it a wrong approach to guide or to help people to find interest in reading scriptures? Because I was a little bit confused that whenever I insist people in this way, is it because sometimes you have already told in your class that we should people will not be, if they study the Bhagavad Gita and scriptures with a logical mind, they will never be able to interpret in a right way. So I find that should I insist people in this way or not?
Yes, that is the right way to do. And also, if you can insist that they should read Bhagavad Gita as it is by Prabhupada, then they will not misinterpret.
Yes.
Then they'll not misinterpret.
Yes.
Otherwise,
Yes,
they can
Prabhuji.
get lost.
Yes. In any discussion, whenever they tell it about that these religion system is bad, these things have just brought hatred in the society. The general perception, because people don't read, Prabhuji, those who are related to ISKCON, they might understand these facts that it is very nice thing. but I find the general people is not aware of, and they are very ignorant about the value these scriptures provide in our life, and that is why I just try to
True.
insist them. But I was very much confused
No,
that should I tell them in that
you
format or not.
of course you can, and this is what preaching is. And people say because of religion there's so many problems in the society. It's not because of religion. It's because of misinterpretation, misunderstanding, and misimplementation of religion. That's where the
True.
problem is.
Actually, thank you, Prabhuji.
And
Thank you
that's
so
why we
much.
have so many problems. Actually, speaking about the caste system, one incident you might not be aware of, during Lord Ram's time, there was an incident reported that there was a Shudra who's doing tapasya in the forest. Lord Ram called for him, and Ram gave him capital punishment. Means he was supposed given death sentence. Immediately, he was killed. Everybody was shocked. Ram, how could you do that? The Shudra, he was just performing tapasya. He wasn't interfering in your system in any way. But Ram said, Shudras are not supposed to perform tapasyas in the forest. That's the job of Brahmins. So he was going to create a disturbance in the Varnashram system. But one thing people don't know, when Ram gave him death sentence, he sent him back to spiritual world, Ayodhya, because that person was qualified. But Ram had to create or make sure that the system of Varnashram is followed properly. So he had to give the sentence. So we have to try to understand scriptures through bona fide acharyas. Then we'll not have any doubts.
In continuation of this, Prabhuji, I have a small question. What I am, judging from my group or surrounding people, the people nowadays, they find a very like how should I explain it? So they find a very prestige issue kind of a thing if they go for bhakti और मंदिरों में जाएंगे तो उनको लगता है कि मतलब ये तो कोई ऐसा काम नहीं है we should we are a modern people and why should we go to मंदिरों में जाके पूजा कौन करता टाइप्स this kind of mentality what I'm judging is अपने आप को बहुत अच्छे से कपड़े पहन के and modern society में घूमने से they feel very proud of it and मंदिरों में जाने से they feel very low लोग एक दूसरे से like husband if goes to the temple तो he is scared of his wife कि ओहो मेरी वाइफ कहेगी मैं साधु बन गया मैं मंदिरों में जाना शुरू कर दिया what is this mother is scared from his मतलब चल कि अगर मैं माला जपने बैठ गई तो हो मेरे बच्चे क्या बोलेंगे अभी से माला जपनी शुरू कर दी I'm not been able to judge what are their mentality
It's just ignorance.
पूजा करना is a छोटा काम or like what so how should I just tell them कि this is what is wrong and what is they think that मंदिरों में जाना पूजा करना is a बेकार का चीज and what we are doing is the best.
Well, it is ignorance, and that is what we have to try, and that is why I always say we have to preach by our behavior first, by our caring nature first, and also our devotees in a temple should be very receptive, should be like coming forward to receive the people when they come to the temple. We have to understand that anybody who comes to temple is a guest of the Lord, guest of rather Parsharthi or whichever temple they go to, and we are servants of the Lord. So how should we receive the guest? That will leave that impression in their mind a good impression that they'll look forward to coming back again and again. but yes, we have long way to go. Definitely, we have long way to go.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the clarification. Thank you so much for the class, Sam.
Thank you, Mata.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you all. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much.